I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I'm Raman. I founder and I run a crypto jobs list. We are like the biggest job search platform in crypto, pretty much globally. Been running since 2017. So we actually turned 4 years, like just a week ago. So we've been around for some time, and we have like all the top companies in crypto been hiring through us, anywhere from exchanges to protocol layer one companies to scalability solutions to DeFi and recently NFT startups as well. Yes, so like we have quite a bit of interesting insights on kind of on the market globally, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions today about European market as well. Right. So I think like regardless of which kind of position you're playing in a company or which kind of role you're executing, I think having some fundamental understanding of kind of cryptocurrencies and how they work on a technical level is important. You don't have to be like, a PhD or have a deep understanding of cryptography, but kind of having understanding of how transactions work, what are the common issues, like what are the common delays, why certain blockchains are faster and why slower, what are the trade-offs. And I think like having certain skill and like knowledge and experience with just like trading yourself or transacting, most importantly, because I think majority of the people who are interested in cryptocurrencies or interacting with them, they are just trading on exchange, and on exchanges it's usually instantaneous, especially on centralized exchanges, versus fewer people actually interact with like sending money on chain, sending Bitcoin, sending Ethereum, sending other coins. And that takes it's not instant. You have to understand the concept of gas, or the concept of paying a number of Satoshis per byte when you're sending Bitcoin. And kind of all these nuances are kind of important to understand while you're pretty much in any position in any cryptocurrency or blockchain company, whether you're doing support or content writing or engineering, especially engineering, obviously. So I think like that's kind of like number one most fundamental skill that kind of skill and knowledge that is required when you're joining a crypto or a blockchain company. And from there on, it really depends what kind of role you're working in, right? So if it's content, then you better have certain understanding of what's going on right now, who are the main influencers in the space, who are the thought leaders. If you're technical, you definitely need to be skilled in the technology that you're working on. And I'd say like right now, the most kind of in-demand positions are around Solidity development, which is basically you be able to deploy smart contracts on any EVM compatible chain, which is Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, quite a few other chains launching EVM compatibility. Then I would say there's Rust language, very popular, Golang. Kind of traditional web developers are also in high demand with TypeScript and JavaScript experience. And then from like within non-technical positions, there's a lot of like community management, which is I think very unique role that exists in blockchain and crypto space that I feel does not exist in as many other kind of industries or companies, where basically the role of community manager is someone who kind of monitors a lot of chats, make sure no one's trying to scam anyone, because this space is very like there's a lot of information, there's a lot of noise, but there's a lot of high quality signal as well. So roles of community manager is quite often to kind of try to control that noise and make sure that the signal is stayed noticed. So yeah, I think that's kind of the high level overview. Yeah, let me know if you want me to dive in more specifically in any of these kind of. I think it's always it's never easy to hire great talent. I think regardless which industry in, but I think especially in blockchain and crypto. I think during bull market, for example, it's a lot of people wants to be in the industry, but from a company standpoint of view, it's very hard to tell which of these people are here to stay, or which of these people just heard about blockchain, or in this year it's more about NFTs. A lot of people just heard about crypto through NFTs, and they kind of heard the buzz. They don't really know what is it about. They're not really sure whether they want to kind of commit their several years of their life and of their career to this, or are they here for like really quick gains and they think that they can become like millionaires overnight, which is also not uncommon, but it shouldn't be like the main motivator when applying for jobs or applying to work in crypto space. But I think like the majority, the main challenge is like finding people who have the actual technical skill and kind of interest in crypto space. Well, actually, let me correct myself. I think there's a lot more people who have the interest, but quite fewer people who have kind of history of the space, understanding how it evolved, and having the technical knowledge and kind of the actual skill set to do the job in a company. So one of the interesting things that I've observed over the years is that there's like a lot of interest in internships. So like a lot of students want to be in a space, they are looking for blockchain internships, but sadly not a lot of companies offer internships because they usually want to have someone who's already skilled, where they're actually able to contribute and make some progress and some kind of have some ROI from day one in the company, versus with kind of internships is a bit harder. You have to like educate the person. It's a lot of effort, and you don't even know whether it's going to work out. So I do feel that there's definitely more and more people who are interested and more capable, who are kind of moving from more established traditional industries into crypto. But I think the talent shortage is still there. So yeah, I actually spent past few days just preparing for this, trying to figure that number out. And kind of basically we used quite a few resources, anywhere from basically our own database. So we have like about 40,000 applications across the board, and kind of because we've been operating internationally, as well as like some data from LinkedIn. And kind of so far the number that I came up with is around 30,000 people who are currently employed in the space, who are working in one form or another of blockchain company, cryptocurrency related company. So, and again, this number is kind of global. It's not really specific to any particular location. Figuring out more accurate numbers that kind of where I would be able to estimate it for a specific location is quite a bit more effort. We'll probably be able to follow up with those numbers kind of shortly after, maybe in a few weeks. But it's not very easy to estimate the exact number, because there's quite a lot of there are a lot of startups and mid-sized companies that are purely crypto related. For those kind of organizations, it's much easier to kind of estimate and quantify the number of their employees. That number is usually available. You just need to tally those numbers up. But kind of the interesting and more challenging aspect is that there are a lot of large companies who are starting to have a like blockchain or cryptocurrency division, like for example, like large banks or large infrastructure players, like for example, IBM or VMware, right? Those organizations who have like more than 10,000 employees each. But obviously not all those 10,000 are working in a blockchain and crypto projects, right? Or say Visa as well. It's a huge organization, but maybe like over 100 people work on cryptocurrency projects within those organizations. So that's kind of one of the challenges in terms of quantifying exactly how many people employed in the space. But I think that this number is kind of, we're trying to increase our accuracy all the time and have like more accurate data on kind of current number of people who are engaged in the space. Well, yeah, I think crypto is moving so fast that I think 5-year projections are really tough to make. I would say, I mean, a lot of people would say like, everything's going to go 10x, everything's going to go 10 times bigger. But I think it's very hard to kind of do an estimate even for 1 or 2 year projections. But I think that this space has been growing pretty much an exponential pace. From what I've seen, what happened in 2017 and 2018, I would say like when there was a Bitcoin crash in 2018, the amount of people who kind of showed interest in the space or wanting to work or apply for jobs, or even the number of job openings themselves, it kind of dropped significantly, dropped pretty much like 80% along with the price of Bitcoin. But what I found really interesting this year and last year, like 2020, 2021, is that, for example, mid this year, we had a strong correction in end of April, May, where the prices dropped more than like pretty much halved from 64,000 to 34,000 for one Bitcoin. That really impacts kind of the number of people who show interest in working in the industry and kind of the overall excitement and as well as kind of how aggressively companies scale. Usually when price drops significantly in crypto market, I've seen that a lot of companies kind of they try to be a bit more conservative with hiring because majority of their reserves are in kind of parked in digital assets. And what the interesting thing that I noticed this year is that companies did not stop hiring despite that significant correction in price. So I feel that during like April, May price correction, the companies did not really slow down in their hiring kind of ambitions, and they kept growing, kept hiring more and more companies, kept raising funds for new projects, and I think that's definitely kind of been growing pretty much exponentially. I would say like from the number of jobs that we've been seeing this year compared to past 2 years, I think we like outperformed more than 10 times just like in past like year or 2 years. And I think like there's not a lot of, it would not be surprising to see like 10 times growth in kind of next 5 years, maybe even like less than that. So it's really hard to project these numbers. Sometimes they can be very, even 10 times might seem kind of pessimistic, so to say it, according to some people. Sure. I definitely think so. There's a lot of, I mean, as I mentioned, community management is one of those where it's relatively easy to get started, and you can kind of, as long as your language proficiency is really good and you're able to kind of understand what's going on in a very crowded chat, it's definitely an opportunity for you. But I think for those who are non-technical but looking to engage, another kind of major category of roles is content production, anywhere from like writing articles, writing reviews, summaries, doing like YouTube overviews, kind of explaining how cryptocurrency works, writing technical documentation. I think that's like one of the kind of second major categories in terms of like non-technical jobs that are relatively easy to get started with. And I think that's one of the things that I typically recommend to people who want to get started in the industry, is to start writing something, write a blog post, talk about your personal experience in a crypto space, talk about how you like your journey into job search in crypto. And that usually would get you quite a bit of kind of attention and visibility in the space. Someone will definitely share your article. We definitely always welcome kind of content contributions where we can share like personal stories of both talent and companies through their kind of journey in crypto space. What else is there? I would say I think with the other non-technical jobs, I would be a bit more specialized. There will be like either kind of marketing space, which is kind of interestingly enough in crypto, kind of meme production is a thing, and a lot of people think kind of they usually look down on it from outside of the industry, but in the industry, people understand that that's like the best way. Like a funny picture, funny meme that is drawn in 5 seconds, but is really spot on in terms of humor, is probably the best way to deliver a message about something in the industry, about some project, or about some, I don't know, like truth that everyone knows, but no one admits about the space. So opportunities kind of plenty in that space, like, go ahead and fire up your Microsoft Paint and start producing interesting kind of So I think like the first thing to mention is that it's remote by default. I've noticed a lot of companies in like even in tech space, they kind of coronavirus really helped us accelerate the remote first kind of mindset and work style. But in crypto, remote first being like the default, it was decentralized by definition. People came together basically online through chats, through forums to work on blockchain technology anywhere. I mean, starting from 2014, 2008 and years up until today. And so like a lot of projects are kind of, there's no question about being remote and going remote, and people are much more comfortable just working remote. That's kind of the default. Most employees in crypto space not even familiar with what it's like to be working in an office with your colleagues. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think there are certain benefits of being in the same office. So I think that's number one. Another thing I would mention, I would say that in crypto, there is much more kind of, there was this idea of DAOs, right? And like fully decentralized organizations where pretty much anyone is able to come into organization and contribute, right? Usually those teams would be, they would have some sort of like core contributor team, but they always welcome kind of outside contributors. So those contributors almost don't even have to go through job interview as long as they contribute something meaningful, and usually they get rewarded anywhere with like airdrops or with some other incentives or bug bounties or other bounties and like kind of payouts from different contests or hackathons or grant programs. And because a lot of projects in the space are also open source, so pretty much anyone can submit a pull request on GitHub and their code can be merged and they can get a reward for their contribution. So there's I would say there is a particular type of organization structure in crypto that doesn't exist anywhere else, where pretty much anyone online who is interested is able to contribute, which is kind of removes a lot of friction in that organization. Of course, there's different limitations and challenges and risks to this kind of form of working. And it's still, I mean, probably some people might say it's like not really proven, but there's, I think, a lot of opportunities in every single thing that is not fully proven and still not mainstream yet. So yeah, I think like compared to some like more centralized startups or some startups with more kind of centralized leadership or that are like founder led, that are like VC backed companies, they usually, even if they raise a lot of money, they would have to go through hiring, and that process can be, and it is usually slow, and it's usually slow deliberately to make sure that you attract the best talent, you make sure that you kind of expose your trusted information within your organization to the right people, versus in a lot of cryptocurrency projects, anyone who's interested will be able to contribute, right? And quite often, a lot of people contribute even for free, even they do not even like seek certain kind of compensation. They just want to see certain projects succeed, and they are really motivated to just start contributing. It really depends on kind of the size of the company and kind of the type of the company and who's the founder, who's the leader of that organization. There are certain companies that just choose to hire slower, and there's like a lot of kind of startup advice is hire slowly, fire fast. So some companies do stick to that, and it does work for them. But I'd say in kind of one of the fascinating parts, as I mentioned, is like the way how DAOs work, how decentralized autonomous organizations work. If a project is interesting and promising, a lot of people will jump on it very, very fast, and they will start contributing. So it's the hiring process is almost self-selection, right? So I would not. It's really hard for me to say like in black and white which space is faster, which places is slower. Probably I can also kind of add to that even though a lot of companies right now in crypto space are scaling aggressively, they still kind of bottlenecked by kind of shortage of talent. It's really hard to find kind of exceptional talent, exceptional engineering talent. You need to actually go ahead and like poach it from other companies, convince them to join you, in addition of like to posting on job boards and kind of going through the lists through like talent lists where they're able to kind of reach out to the talent directly. So let's try my best to prepare for that question. It's not always like very easy to come up with those numbers, even though they're there. You just they need some massaging and like ensuring that the data is more or less accurate. I would say like globally, majority of at least like interest that we're seeing is definitely United States, like by far, United States, India. And it's really like spread all across the world. I did prepare like a list for Europe specifically. I'd say like UK and London in particular is probably number one by kind of the amount of interest that people show. I think which is followed pretty much by France, Spain, Germany, and then you would have like Netherlands with Amsterdam. Quite an interesting hub, and obviously places like Poland or Russia, Ukraine, Belarus. They're like further away from Central Europe, but still they're kind of quite happening in space. But I'd say like even though that like we personally see a lot of interest from talent from like UK, kind of to my knowledge, like Berlin is where it's at when it comes to blockchain engineering. Quite a few developers are there, quite a few people and researchers are there that like I personally in touch with and that I know. It's I think like the talent in Europe and globally is rather kind of semi-randomly distributed. Yeah. I think I would just kind of encourage everyone to start kind of your journey in crypto earlier than later. Especially, it's kind of one of my personal lessons is, start kind of going in or keep maintaining your interest during bear market. Like right now, we're still in a bull market, but in a bear market, a lot of people lose interest. They think it's all done, it's gone. But usually, bear market is the best time to build, the best time to learn, because you can do that there is much less noise. You can just build, you can kind of learn more, connect with people, and the connections that you will establish during that period of time are much more kind of meaningful and much more long lasting. So I think like us, for example, we've been in touch for quite a few years, I think during one of the bear markets as well. What else? I think I would advise people to apply to jobs. And like one of the things that I hear is that people apply to positions and they don't hear back from companies. And I think that's kind of a normal practice even for like traditional organizations or startups. So I think it's important to just keep going and don't take no for an answer. There is always some opportunity for everyone in the space. Of course, it might be very kind of devastating to not hear back from the company or like hear a rejection. But I think it's important to like stay interested in the crypto space, try to write something, write a blog post, write an article, at least one, just to share your thoughts, right? It doesn't have to be some breakthrough pieces of research or like new PhD level dissertation. It just has to be your like mini guide about things that, for example, what problems you yourself faced in crypto space, and just write about them. And that's usually serves as a better form of resume than a traditional resume. Because I do see a lot of people who are interested in space, but when they apply to positions, again, regardless whether they're technical or non-technical, they don't show their experience or what they've already tried to accomplish in crypto space they don't show that information like well enough in their applications, I feel. So I think it's, just to reiterate, start working, start contributing to some project, write some content, you don't have to wait for permission to work or to help those blockchain and cryptocurrency companies. Start by producing memes for them. Sooner or later, you'll get noticed and reached out to a lot of people, hired through Twitter directly or through job boards like ours. I think it's definitely a very exciting space to be in. Probably the fastest growing space out there. I myself, who's been in technology for quite some time, I would still probably go after, if I were to choose between, for example, AI space or, I don't know, some biotechnology and crypto, I would still go after crypto because it's I think the potential is much, much, much larger compared to many other spaces. And I think it's still relatively even a playing field, so that, for example, for you to be really successful in AI space, you need to be really advanced and you need to have kind of resources that only the FANG companies in the world have. Versus in crypto, for you to be successful in blockchain, you just need to understand software engineering, understand how blockchains work, you still have it's still early. It's still very, very early in the space for you to be able to kind of grab your own kind of niche, be in your own niche and be successful in that niche and kind of grow with the industry.